Aloha, everyone. Thank you for the gift of your time in joining us today. In just a few moments, Governor Josh Green will sign two bills relating to the co-management of natural resources and establish a cesspool conversion revolving loan fund. It is my honor now to introduce to you Governor Josh Green.
Aloha. Good to see everybody. Two important bills, and I mean that when I say it. Today we're going to talk about supporting our INA. The work that the legislature has done, and our chair, Chair Chang, and everyone that has been involved it's more than a moment. This is a long-standing process where we respect the land more. We find better ways to deal with some of the challenges we've had. Good to see you, Mina. And, these are big challenges these days because there's a lot of pressure on the land. There are pressures on our availability of water. There are pressures everywhere. And I want to be blunt, we're not getting a lot of help right at the moment from the federal government on these matters. So the legislature decided to take it upon themselves to make really foundational changes. So before I dive in, I want to say thank you, Speaker, for leading the way. The House side, Senate was very helpful. You guys are great. These things don't happen in a vacuum. They really take a lot of work. So let's dive in. We're supporting our INA. We're going to talk about two bills. Let's go to the next slide. So the first bill that I'll talk about briefly, and then our experts and our authors will come up, is House Bill 2218. It bolsters our community co-management agreements. What it does is, if you look at places like Haiena, okay, and they've done something special there. They've worked together to manage the land. The Speaker had me out there a couple of years ago to see what is possible when the community works with the state, and it's amazing to see what can happen and what can change. I was personally astounded by how much transformation happened because they were empowered to work together. And in my mind, and I'm happy to be corrected, that kind of set the stage for this dialogue to do it more statewide, to take these opportunities to really care for our INA. And so that's what it does. It clarifies a lot of things, how we will co-manage, how community and government come together. Honestly, from my vantage point, I really think people want to care for the land in Hawaii. I really do. And if these bills can help us smooth over any differences that we might have had or confusions about who can take, who can make it their kuleana, that would be good. So thank you guys for doing this. It expands our public land disposition to include community co-management agreements. So again, cutting out some of the conflict so that we just are spending that time and energy and money to actually help preserve and protect our natural resources. That's what this is about from my perspective. So that's where we are. BLNR will work closer with community. That's really what it comes down to, okay? So next slide. And now let's talk about just the most lovely issue, which is cesspools and poop, okay? For a long time, this has been out there as a big challenge for our state. We are damaging the land. We are damaging the reef because we do not have an adequate way to really manage what happens when the impact of humans and all that we produce goes into the ocean. Cesspools have to be converted. We know this. We have mandates that are out there, but we won't reach them. Even though they're way out there, children's and maybe grandchildren will be dealing with this issue. But if we don't do something now and don't really set ourselves on a better path, we won't get there. And so this establishes a revolving loan fund to convert these cesspools. I view this as an opportunity to, one, protect our land and ocean, and two, to actually create a lot of opportunity, jobs for people that have technical capacity to do this work, engineers, environmental groups. It's a really good opportunity, and there's going to be some financial assistance, which is necessary to get people over the hump. Everyone's going to have to do this eventually. We shouldn't just kick the can down the road, okay? So that's the purpose of that bill. And I just wanted to mention, and I shared it with my colleagues in the room right before we came out, I had a very interesting call. The federal government called me, and they said they wanted an environmental project. Admittedly, they said they didn't want to wade into the climate question, but they wanted something that would be good for the environment and also good for business. And I said, okay, well, we have something, just so you know. Conversion of cesspools is an opportunity to do both those things. And I'm going to keep pushing that because anytime I can, as impossible as it may sound, find some kind of common ground where we could get some extra resources from the federal government to do something that's environmentally helpful, I would take it. Those can't be strings attached, but I would like the opportunity. And so I want to thank all of you guys for passing this bill this year, because you actually are empowering me to then go back to them and say, okay, we're doing it. Why don't you put some resources to back up what you had said and help us to protect especially our reef, especially the land that's around the water. So I think these are great pieces of legislation, and I'm particularly thankful to you guys. Thank you, Senator Lee. Chris, great. Sorry I stole one of your lines. You have many opportunities here in a second. Alon, thank you for being here, and Ted, thank you for being here. It's going to take experts in these areas to make these things happen. So please let us just be catalysts, if we can be, to have great success. Thanks a lot. Aloha.
Mahalo, Governor. Now please welcome House Speaker Nadine Nakamura.
Aloha, good morning. About a year ago, I hosted a luncheon at my office, and I invited members of my constituents in my community in Haena from Hui Maka'ainana Omakana and the Hanalei Initiative and Waipa Foundation to come and to celebrate, because they were coming back from a BLNR meeting, and we're going to celebrate their long-term lease. And instead, they came to my office dejected, disappointed, and very frustrated, because the Attorney General told them that there was no mechanism for a long-term lease within the structure of state law. And so I did what any speaker would do, is I asked my chief of staff to fix this problem. So Nick Carson was involved in that, and he, over the interim, brought together DLNR, brought together community groups, brought together KUA, and so many organizations in the process in OHA to take a look at this problem, to, how can we not create a partnership with community organizations who are clearing state lands of invasive species, who are promoting cultural knowledge and cultural sites on these lands, who are turning this area of a visitor overcrowded hotspot that visitors want to see because of its natural beauty, and converting it into, with parking management and controls on who can come in, the number of people coming to the park, and putting in place a shuttle system. How can we not recognize all of this and know that at the end of the day, this not just benefits this community, it benefits the entire state of Hawaii, that our visitors have an incredible experience, that residents who avoided going to this park because they could never find parking and it was just too overcrowded, now have a place to park whenever they want to come, except on the 4th of July. But, this is an incredible partnership that just last month we were there, because using now that the shuttle system generates close to $7 million a year, and $1 million goes back to DLNR, and monies are used to hire 50 people from this area, most of them who are residents of the North Shore, who are now driving the shuttles, doing interpretive signage, being the guides, and the hosts of this very special place on the North Shore. And so I am so thankful to the hui, Maka'inana o Makana, Chipper Wickman, Billy Kinney, Chipper couldn't be here, but Billy's here. Thank you for being here. Kua, Olan, Lemomi Fisher, and Kevin Chang, thank you for being here. The community partners who helped work on this bill, Denise Antolini, Mina Morita, Dia Lenar, Chris McCuskey, Keali'i Segum, Heather McMillan, former chair Don Chang. Let's give her a big hand for her leadership and support through this entire process, and current chair Ryan Kanakaole. Thank you, David Day, for also being here. This is the preservation of our culture, protection of our environment, Aina stewardship, regenerative tourism, and local economic development can all happen once we have these stewardship agreements in place. And that's the next step, is to work on those stewardship agreements. Not only has my chief of staff laid out this whole process, but now he's engaging in some of the legal attorneys who want to work with community-based nonprofits to develop these stewardship agreements. And I'm really excited about this next phase to actually implement this bill. And so I just want to believe all of these things can be accomplished, and it's a great step moving forward, and this will help us leave our lands, leave our waters in a better place for future generations. So thank you. And I just want to say a few words then about the long-awaited cesspool bill. And here again, we have been working year after year, and Gwen Yamamoto Lau reminded me that we were working on this idea even before COVID hit, and we were developing conversations between the Department of Health and Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority to set up a loan program. I'm really thankful to Governor Green for the green fees that now allow us to do this, and we are going to be really addressing the need. There's 88,000 cesspools in the state of Hawaii, and it's emitting 50 million gallons of human waste poop into our environment. And, we have this deadline of January 1st, 2050 to convert these cesspools. Well, what happens when 80 to 90% of the families in Hawaii cannot afford the cost of the $30,000 to $50,000 it may take to, and then Kauai on the South Shore where it's just rock, it's $85,000 to do these conversions. So what we want to do here is, we set aside, I think it was $2 million, to start up a loan program. It will be low interest or forgivable loans for low, moderate income families. And I'm really excited that this is the start of, I think, an ongoing program to really help to make sure that our reefs, our drinking water, our nearshore waters for recreation are going to be usable for current and future generations. This is what we need to do to move in that direction. So thank you all for all of your help.
Mahalo, Speaker Nakamura. Next, I would like to introduce Senator Chris Lee, Chair of the Senate Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts.
Thank you. It's hard to follow and really add to everything that has been said by Governor and Speaker. But I'll just say this, our community lands and special places are best managed when our community is involved and can help lead the way. And that's something that I think this bill and both these bills really speak to in a huge number of ways. I want to spend the rest of my time basically just giving accolades and credit where it's due. And that's, first of all, to our Kauai delegation, Senate President Kochi and Speaker Nakamura, who have taken, I think, all the effort the community has done over so many years and been able to translate that into political success here in partnership with the Department of Land and Natural Resources and the administration, the governor, and everyone who came together to make this possible. It really has been, I think, a sea change in the attitude and approach that I think a lot of us assume about the way that we are impacted in our communities and our natural resources. And this is, I think, the dawn of a whole new era, thanks to all the work that they've put into it. So with that, I'll just say a few words about the cesspool conversion bill. The thing is, it's not a sexy issue often. It's nobody's top issue, but it's definitely number 2. But with that, I'll just point one thing out, and that is the Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority program. Here in Hawaii, we see it as a tool that's really empowered low-income, moderate residents, nonprofits, others, to be able to access cheaper cost of living, cheaper electricity, cheaper kind of everything, in ways that we don't realize is actually a national leader. And there are dozens of other states looking to replicate this incredibly innovative financial model, and they don't get enough credit. So to be able to expand this now to cesspools and to be able to help people face these enormous bills that otherwise they may not be able to bear is just incredible. So thank you to Gwen and to the administration and to our House and Senate colleagues. And again, I'll thank on the Senate side our colleagues in the Senate, as well as President Kochi and our other chairs for all their hard work, and especially everybody in the community. Thank you guys so much for making this possible. It's going to be an amazing, amazing leap forward for a lot of this, and not an opportunity we definitely don't want to flush down the toilet. So let's do it.
Reserving comment. Mahalo, Senator Lee. Up next, please welcome Olan Leimomi Fisher, advocate from Kua'aina Ulu Auamo.
Aloha mai kākou. We helped with the creation and advocacy for the Community Co-Management Bill under the trailblazing leadership of the Hui Maka'aina na Omakana of Ha'ena, creating explicit legal authority for DLNR to enter into community co-management agreements for the care of our public trust aina, both Mauka and Makai. For the Native Hawaiian and local communities that we work with directly, this means giving them a real seat and voice at the table as the community co-managers that they are and always have been for generations. Many of us are amazed that this bill got through on its very first try, due in no small part to the true collaboration that went into not only crafting the bill itself, but also all the strategizing and relationship building that occurred between our communities and the state in the process. That is where the true magic lies, in the mutual respect and genuine teamwork that brought us together to achieve our shared goal, which I think for most of us is essentially just to live a meaningful and healthy life today and tomorrow in this beautiful and sacred place that we call home here in Hawaii. A goal that only happens when you empower and encourage communities themselves to malama their aina. Mahalo nui loa to the many, many folks that added their magic to this bill, including the Hui Maka'aina na Omakana, especially Chipper Wickman and Billy Keeney, Speaker Nakamura and her staff, especially Chief of Staff Nick Corison, love you. Denise Antolini of Malama Pupu Keowaimea, you're over there too. Hawaii Conservation Alliance, Ulu Ching and Pua'ala Pascual. Hanalei Initiative, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, DLNR leadership and dedicated division staff from DOFA, State Parks, and DAR. And of course, all our amazing Kua network members and friends, new and old, some of which traveled here today from across the islands, and many, many more who couldn't be here or who have already passed, who lent their valuable mana'o and support that really shaped the final version of this bill and carried it through session. It is because of all of you that we are here today celebrating this bill becoming law. Of course, mahalo to Governor Green and your staff for helping us carry it through the finish line. E aloha aina kākou nana kaua kau maua mau. Mahalo nui loa.
Mahalo Olan. Next, please welcome Ted Bolin, Chair of the Board, Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations.
Thank you, Governor Green, Speaker Nakamura, Senator Lee, members of the legislature who helped pass this bill. I've been working on the cesspool issue for over 20 years. I started as a Deputy Attorney General in 2006, working on water matters for the Department of Health, and I discovered that cesspools were the biggest wastewater issue in the state of Hawaii. And so we've been working on it ever since. With respect to Senator Lee, for me, it is not just issue number 2, it's issue number 1 and 2. And the reason for that is that the liquid waste that we put out is bad for the reefs as well as for our recreational and drinking waters. So it's very important when the reefs are under stress that we do what we can to save them. And part of that is to eliminate these 80,000 plus cesspools that are dumping 50 million gallons of waste into our groundwater every single day. So the problem is that upgrading cesspools, as people have indicated, cesspool upgrades are expensive. We need financial help. Most homeowners can't afford the costs. So this bill is really critical, and I'm thrilled to have this bill passed at this point because they need financial help to get over the initial costs of upgrading cesspools, which, as the speaker indicated, could run in excess of $30,000. At Wastewater Alternatives and Innovations, we are working on ways to reduce the cost with new technologies, both for cluster systems and for individual wastewater systems. We hope we can bring that cost down for the future, but it will still be expensive. Homeowners will still need help. And this bill is the first step along the way toward giving people some help to make it more affordable. And that is key because this can't happen for homeowners unless we get significant government help, and I hope the federal government will step up, but if they don't, the homeowners at least will have this revolving loan fund with low interest loans for low and moderate income customers, or preference for those, and give people some help to get over that initial hump so that they can afford to upgrade their cesspools. And affordability is key at this point in our civic life, and this is one of the big costs that people face. We got to do it. This is something that's not voluntary for Hawaii. We're hurting our tourism, we're hurting our shorelines, we're hurting our public health if we don't do this. So I urge everybody to get on board with this, to upgrade their cesspools when they can, and hopefully we can expand this fund in the future and do more help for homeowners who are having to upgrade their cesspools. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Senate. Thank you, all the people who've worked on this bill and enabled this to pass, and I really appreciate it, all that you're doing. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Mahalo, Ted. At this time, I'd like to invite Governor Green, our state legislators, and key stakeholders to come to the podium for the formal bill signing and subsequent picture taking.
All right. So just a couple last comments as we go forward. So the truth of the matter is, I really take to heart what Speaker said amongst all those excellent comments, which is one of the overriding approaches and principles we had was in this last year and a half, and this is, again, a thanks to the Senate and House, is that in passing the green fee, the climate fee, it's going to give us some extra opportunities. This is just one of them. And we've been searching for ways to guarantee resources that would be available to protect our Aina. And this is a classic and perfect opportunity for us, for both of these bills, to have some resources to go into community, to go and do projects that historically were very hard to find resources in the challenging moments of a budget or an economy, or even just the regular back and forth that naturally goes on between the executive branch, the legislative branch, and what's necessary to balance a budget and care for people. So this is a great opportunity. You guys are at the tip of the spear, so to speak, to do this. So if I may, just gratefully sign this bill, and please take this opportunity in the coming years to use resources to move us forward to protect our land. So first, I'll sign House Bill 2218 relating to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. And I thank you guys for this bill. It's really terrific. Thank you, Speaker. Where's Ola? Yes, may I give you that pen? Okay. The second bill, the cesspool conversion bill, again, an incredible opportunity to finally deal with a challenge that's been with us for decades. And this is an important moment because my hope as governor in these years is to at least set us into motion for large solutions. I think this is it. This is just the beginning because it's going to take a lot of resources, but use this to parlay other resources to, whether it's through the federal government or through other things that we do to bring monies into environmental protection and sustainability. Use this as the opportunity. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal that we have this opportunity, and this is a pretty big first step. So thank you for not crapping all over this bill for the last year. Thank you, buddy. Of course. We tend to move this thing out and just do some pictures if people would like. Sorry.
So let's do the co-management.
Yes. Okay. One more over here. 1, 2, 3. One more over here. Perfect.
Mahalo for joining us. This now concludes our formal program.